Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today, we got Brandon,
Hello.
and we're here to talk about games and things.
Games and things. I
What's on the
played
agenda?
I played a game I can't talk about, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I also played through Doom 2016 all the way and Doom Eternal. So I've finished
Oh, no.
both of those games now, and I started Doom the Dark Ages. So I'm
Ooh,
going through all three of the games, and I wanted to talk about all of them separately for a second.
okay.
Which was essentially, I really like 2016 still. It's really funny. It's not funny. Why did I say funny? It's really fun. Sorry,
It's
I'm
really
running on
funny.
no
That
sleep.
funny Doom 2016.
That funny Doom
All the
2016.
disembowelment demons, they make
Yeah,
me laugh
exactly.
every time.
I have a guffaw every time I play Doom 2016. I'm running on very little sleep. Please forgive me. Anyway, yeah, it's very fun. Doom 2016 is like a no thrills sort of. It's just Doom, you know.
Yeah.
There isn't a whole lot different from it compared to like playing original Doom, to be completely honest. You know, it's the same generalization. Doom Eternal, which I just finished all the way through, you know, leading up to Doom the Dark Ages.
hmm
Um, Doom Eternal, I feel I did not give enough credit when I initially played this game. Very much so. Because now going into Doom Eternal and finishing Doom Eternal, I could safely say I think I like Doom Eternal more than 2016.
Okay.
Which is definitely not how I felt about it before. I think giving it some time and going into it knowing it's not going to be like 2016 really helped this time
hmm
because you know, I initially thought it would just be like more 2016, and it is to an extent, but I think the like micromanaging of having to like chainsaw things specifically to get your ammo back really kind of set me off and made me not like it as much initially. But I got into like a flow state when playing Doom Eternal recently and going through that entire game, and I was having a fucking blast of just having to you know, quickly chainsaw an enemy and decide which one I was going to do on the fly, and being able to like fucking uh plan my pathing and be able to change on the fly as well whenever fighting enemies. And honestly, I just think Doom Eternal is a very, very fun game overall. It's a blast. Um, I think the last three stages drag on a little bit, especially since like I felt like when I was playing the third to last chapter, I was like, okay, this is probably like the end of the game. You know, I don't remember much of this game, but I feel like this is the end of the game. And then it was like, oh, okay, no, this chapter, this is the end of the game. And then it wasn't either. And then there was a part two to that chapter, and I was like, the end of the game, and it wasn't. And then then I went to the next chapter, and I was like, this one's got to be the end of the game, and it finally was the end of the game. But it felt like the end of the game because of all the crazy shit going on at any moment in time. And it just kept ramping itself up and ramping itself up to the point where I was just like, okay, what are we doing now? And the large amount of kill rooms that were just not really spread out a lot by the end of the game, where it's just like, all right, here's the kill room, lots of enemies. I go up the stairs, immediately another kill room with lots of enemies, but it's still connected to the one I was fighting in before that was downstairs. And it's just like, all right, I mean, I get it, but like, it's a little bit excessive. I never had a chance to like, you know, take a moment when you get towards the end of Eternal, but I really liked that. But I felt like maybe the beginning and like leading up towards like maybe the last three chapters, all of that is like perfect. But then those last three chapters drag on a little bit. But I still think I liked Eternal more than 2016 because of the general gameplay mechanics that it introduced over 2016, which made it feel a lot more hectic. Because, yeah, you can get ammo off the ground, but you're not going to have that much. But you can also chainsaw enemies and get your ammo back that way, which you really needed to get into the habit of remembering to do that and remembering to like leave the lower tier enemies so that you can just chainsaw them automatically without having to have a lot of gas for your chainsaw, which I did. And when I started getting in the groove of that, I was like, okay, this is really good. And I really liked it a lot. So,
Yeah.
Eternal, great. 2016, great, and
Uh-huh.
I like Eternal more now. I've only played the first chapter and a half of Doom: The Dark Ages,
Uh-huh.
but it's weird. So
Okay.
let me start with this one because this one feels weird to me. So I've been playing every single one of these on ultraviolent
Uh-huh.
mode, which is like just a tier above the normal standard mode because I don't know, I just don't feel like going all the way to like nightmare or like ultra nightmare. I just wanted to do something that's a little bit harder. So
You said ultraviolet?
ultra violence mode,
Oh, okay.
ultra violent, VIOLENT. Um,
Okay. That makes more sense.
yeah. So in and I know it's because again I'm playing with new mechanics yet again in Doom: The Dark Ages. And for those that don't know, Doom: The Dark Ages takes place before every Doom game that's already come out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the prequel to 2016. Um, and it feels very odd because whereas in Eternal you had the chainsawing element, in this game you have this like 3-hit combo
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to like knock health out of enemies, but you also have this parrying mechanic, and the parry mechanic is awesome. I really 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 like the parry mechanic of this game. It's really fun, but the areas that you're in are so big and open. I get shot from behind a lot of times with like no prior knowledge that anything could have spawned in from behind. And I'm just going to have to get used to that and figure out like a way to avoid that sort of deal. Um, because it is something that is very new. It is something that's very different from the other two Doom games, and as such, it's like, damn, how does that even work? And I am figuring it out. It took me a few deaths at the beginning just to start understanding the mechanics. Like I let myself die when I like got my health down really low. I was like, all right, okay, just die, restart, try again, try to figure out what it wants me to do, and I eventually did. Um, it obviously a lot like Eternal. You just need to keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. But it's a little bit harder in this because you are in such a big open environment as opposed to Eternal or 2016, which seems to be more like indoor environments. Or if there is some outdoor environments, you're more in like corridors going from one place to another and not really fighting that many enemies. But this one, you're in huge open, almost like semi-open world environments because of how big the area is.
Mm-hmm.
And the new shield that you have essentially allows you to traverse long distances by putting your shield up and then using your secondary attack button to dash. So when you put your shield up, if you have a charge on your shield, gives you the option to dash to an enemy, and if you like look at an enemy that's off in the distance and like a red circle appears around them, you can use the secondary button to dash from where you're at straight into combat and start fighting that enemy that's off in the distance. This will allow you to traverse like a lot of the terrain very very quickly, but it also has this like give and take mechanic because I mentioned how I couldn't really tell when there were enemies behind me. If I dash into battle a lot in this game,
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes those enemies that are behind me are able to attack me from behind, and you can start losing health very, very quickly with being hit by projectiles from behind that you can't really see or know that are there. So I've noticed now that with this game, I really need to like not dash into combat a lot unless I've already thinned out the herd that's like at the front of the pack, and it's taking some getting used to. It's taking a lot of getting used to, but I am starting to understand how the Dark Ages works, and I like the idea of these mechanics, but I got to play a lot more to figure out if I like them. There's one thing I really didn't like at the beginning of the first chapter, and it's the fact that I haven't seen this since like 2015, and it was a mandatory turret section. And I was just like, what the fuck? Why am I playing a turret section in Doom? So that was just weird. It also does seem like this game's going to try to focus more on like a story aspect, obviously building out the lore, because in Eternal we kind of found out that the Doomslayer is actually the equivalent of a god, so that's kind of neat. And in this game we see how he is used like a literal weapon. Like they will like call the Doomslayer down to help them, take out the demons that are attacking their village or whatever, and you get sent down like a fucking bullet, and you're like the like big weapon that gets dropped in to kill everything when you're playing as the Doomslayer. And I get it. I understand what they're going for with like the plot, at least so far. But the fact that like you're also like tethered, because like after you finish a level, they like literally pull you back to where you were, like bring you back to your fucking gun. Essentially, you get taken back off that planet and put back up into orbit in your little fucking captivity, where the Doomslayer gets to stay until he gets called in for another battle. And I don't like that element. It doesn't make me feel as strong as I was in Eternal. And granted, Eternal is the very end of this series, and this is the very beginning of this series. But throughout all of Eternal, we were told about how he was a god and he had these big battles and this, that, and the other. And they explained how he's different from like a normal human. And they built this whole character up. And then I start the Dark Ages, and I'm expecting like, hell yeah, we're gonna have some like crazy shit. But I feel like I'm a tool, like I'm a pet to these people. Like I'm like just that. Like the Doomslayer feels like he's actually leashed, at least at the beginning of this game. And like they've like kind of subdued him and they've made him do their bidding more or less. And I'm like, this feels odd. This feels weird. And I'm sure it's going to go somewhere else. It's going to be like batshit insane by the end of this, because we've seen a lot of stuff from this game already, and I know it's going to go to some crazy places. But it just feels weird at the beginning for him to be like serving these like creatures called the Makers, who are the ones that decide when the Doomslayer gets called into action. And I don't know, man. It's just odd. This game feels a little like in the first hour, it feels a little all over the place, but I'm hoping that it kind of cleans itself up and gets better. And I'm not like writing it off or anything. I just played Eternal, and Eternal was a fucking blast. And then I start this one, and I'm like, this just feels odd. This just feels really odd. So that's where I'm at currently with Doom: The Dark Ages.
Yeah, it's still early though.
Yeah, it's still very early. I'm only like through one chapter and a half of another, so
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what I've been playing.
Okay. Ready to move on to news?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I promised no Xenoblade talk last week, so I got nothing to add. I'm done. So done with the game. Yeah. So we're not going back, and we're not speaking of it again. It was still good.
Okay.
Everything I said stands. Okay. So new stuff. Actually, so one big piece of news since last week. So Nintendo did share updates on what those Switch upgrades were for.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about it last week.
We have a list of them now, right? Let me go look at them. Switch to upgrades.
And I just had one and I lost it. Let me see where it is.
Yeah, I got the whole thing now. I got it in front of me.
I know I have it. There we are. Perfect. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of these were kind of like about what we had speculated on, like ARMS has updated visuals. So that's nice. Yeah, those kind of things. I think one thing that's really interesting here though is that you could share games online. I had not seen that before. So like we knew that you could do it in the same room, but some games are labeled specifically.
Yeah, this one's a little weird to me. I'm kind of curious how that will work. And this goes back to what I was talking to you about before we started the podcast. I would like to be able to see before the system comes out how some of this stuff works, but it seems like we're not going to get to, because a lot of people aren't being given review units ahead of time. So people are going to be getting their Switch 2s around the same time as us.
Yeah, we'll be getting the system probably at the same time that like the major outlets are getting there.
Yeah.
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 That's
kind of weird.
Yeah. So, but some of these games though, they're listed like here we are, like Super Mario 3D World. Game
Hmm.
share support up to 4 people can play Super Mario 3D World sharing locally or online via game chat.
Yeah, that doesn't make
So
any sense. I'm guessing like, are they trying to say you can use game chat to share?
yeah, exactly what
I
they're
don't
saying.
know. I can't wait to play Mario World at fucking 12 FPS. Like, I'm confused, you know?
Well, I think what it does is I think it allows you to kind of share that the mini kind of portion of the game, um, except you don't have to be in the same room.
I don't know. We'll see
Cool.
what happens there. But
Yeah,
I will say one of the other more interesting things I find with these is HDR support on some of these games, which was
yeah.
not something we talked about before because I didn't even think about it when we were talking about what could be in here. And
Mhm.
seeing HDR support on some of these is interesting, especially if you look at again Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. We have HDR support, but only for Bowser's Fury.
That is very
That's an
true.
interesting choice, you know? Like
Yeah,
what?
yes, it is. Yeah, Echoes of Wisdom, HDR support,
Hmm.
Link's Awakening, HDR support. It's definitely not in everything either.
No, it's not.
Um, yeah, only like a few.
It's not in the
Uh,
Pokemon games, either of them.
no, who fucking knows what's gonna happen with those?
Well, it says optimized for Nintendo Switch, high resolution and improved frame rate for smoother movement on Nintendo Switch. Sure, like I guess.
Yeah, are you
I
gonna fix all the bugs and glitches though?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely not.
yeah, that's the bigger question. Um, so you got that. Yeah, like a lot of these, like Pokemon Violet and Scarlet seem like probably the least interesting like updates um out of all of them because they're like, hey, we're just kind of fix the things that we had here. Oh, actually, Game Builder Garage, now we know exactly what they're doing. You know, they are upgrading the graphics, but it is supporting mouse controls. I just saw that. That's
That one's cool. I like that
yeah.
idea.
Mhm. That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Actually makes more sense with that in mind than when we had talked about it yesterday.
Yep,
So, or not yesterday, last week.
last week.
Jesus.
It's
Um,
okay. It's okay. Everything's kind of melting together.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of these are, either making it so people can do co-op between systems or updating visuals. And then, like, as I said, a lot of these say that you can share them online via game chat. So,
Yeah, that's weird.
yeah. So pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of what is all in there when we get a little bit closer. I mean, we're only like 2 weeks out now, so it's
We
almost here.
are. We are.
Hmm.
That's crazy. And also, um, next week for me is the new Elden Ring game. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Oh, that multiplayer game is
Yeah.
that next week?
Yep, yep, yep.
Hmm.
On
Uh,
the 29th, I believe.
oh, so very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other Switch 2 news that I saw, I'll just throw it here. This probably means more to you than me because I just don't know. But apparently, the Switch 2 will not support VRR on the TV. Um, Apparently, it's going to be in handheld only.
So, VRR is essentially what allows you to not have screen tearing when you're running at something that isn't a 30 FPS or a 60 FPS or 120 FPS cap.
Uh,
So, essentially, if you're running a game at like 40 FPS, without VRR, it will not feel as smooth
mhm,
because it isn't VRR smooths out the image, essentially. For instance, we already know that Cyberpunk 2077 will have a 40 FPS mode. So
mhm,
without VRR, it's kind of useless unless you're playing it in handheld, in my opinion, because it's not going to be feeling as smooth, even though you will have a higher frame rate. It won't smooth out those frame times. VRR kind of smooths out those frame times, so it'll make your 40 FPS feel much more akin to like a smoother experience than what it actually is. So, it's odd. It's very odd to me. I'm not 100% sure if that's a good move, since it can't be done in like on a TV, and I feel like that's a huge oversight. But we'll see how that goes. Um, I
yeah,
do
I
think
did
it's
read
really good that they
there's a
have it for.
technical reason for it. I understand why they didn't do it.
What's the technical reason that they're
Because
trying to say?
apparently it has to do with the output going through USB instead of directly through HDMI.
I don't understand that. You plug an HDMI directly into the Switch dock now. Do you not do that for the
Yeah, but
Switch 2?
not directly into the Switch. That's the difference. The Switch isn't directly outputting through HDMI. The Switch is outputting through the USB, and then
The
the
USB that's
dock
at the
is
bottom
outputting
of
to
it.
HDMI.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that
I
that's
don't
where the issue is. Mhm.
I don't know if that's true.
You
And
don't think it
I
hooks
will
up through the USB?
well, no. I don't know if that's true, and I'll give you my example of the reason why.
Mhm.
I have I'm like 99% sure, not 100%, but I'm like 99% sure that I have VRR on my Steam Deck, which works the exact same way as a Switch dock. Let me see if I'm correct in that. It does Steam Deck dock work with VRR. Okay, all right. This makes a little bit of sense. So it says for the Steam Deck, the docking station comes with premium hardware and software features, including both HDMI and display ports, multi-monitor support, and FreeSync VRR support for external monitors. So here's the difference. I don't think G-Sync would work the same way as FreeSync, and FreeSync is an AMD equivalent to G-Sync, and G-Sync would be the NVIDIA, which is what the Switch 2 is running on. So that's a little, but I'm not sure how that works. I don't have the knowledge to know if that's possible with NVIDIA tech. I don't know if they're talking out their ass or not. I don't have the knowledge, enough knowledge to know that. I guess that's all I'm saying.
So what I had just relayed was Reddit's interpretation, but
Huh?
it's this article I'm looking at has a comment from Digital Foundry.
Okay.
Um, let's see, and it says that what did they say? It says the best theory that they have for that is the dock's DisplayPort to HDMI converter doesn't support HDMI VRR. So that seems like that's them just kind of saying basically the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it seems that Digital Foundry
It,
seems to think it's an issue there too. But
yeah, it's probably because of it being NVIDIA and not AMD. Because I know AMD would be fine with it, but it being NVIDIA is probably different. That's all I was trying to figure out. I don't really
oh,
know.
okay. Yeah, I don't know. But there you go. That's that. Any other Switch 2 stuff you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we got the. Oh, we did. Hold on, let me check something.
Mhm.
Switch to space for games. Let's see if that shows there. Oh wait, hold on. Switch to game sizes. Yeah, I got it. Yay! Here we go. I found the picture. All right, so this picture was being shared in Japanese storefronts,
Mhm.
and it's a list of every Switch 2 game size, file size that we know currently. I put it in general chat for you so you can see it. So we got a few that I don't know. I just wanted to is something to talk about, and I thought this was interesting.
Oh yeah.
So, like for instance, Mario Kart World is like almost 24 gigs. Breath of the Wild is 24 gigs with the DLC. Um, the the Tears of the Kingdom's only 20.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk's 56. Uh, there's some games in here that have like really small file size, like Deltarune's less than a gig.
Yeah, 650 megabytes.
Yeah. The Survival Island game that we saw is like 3 gigs almost. Yeah, there's some stuff on here that's like, oh, okay, all right. Some of this makes sense. Some of this, whatever, you know. But I think the main thing here is like most of these are like fairly small file sizes.
Yeah,
Like even
Donkey
like
Kong is 10.
yeah, even like the biggest file size, which is Split Fiction, is 73 gigs, which is like that's not really a lot in the grand scheme of things when it comes to games nowadays.
No, not
And
really.
then the same with Hitman, which is all of the Hitman games is 61 gigs. And it's like that's really not that bad. Like you could fit a lot of these onto the normal 256 gigabyte um, internal memory of the Switch 2. So
Oh.
that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you could fit Mario, both Zelda games, fucking Fortnite, Bravely Default, Kirby, Donkey Kong, Deltarune. Like you could fit a ton of games onto one system.
Yeah, you should be able to fit most of these onto one system. Yeah. Who knows what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna get away with one SD card for a whole generation again.
Yeah, I'm looking at like the games that I would purchase or that I
Mm-hmm.
already have, and like all of them would fit onto my system, and still I would have space because I was thinking about. Well, I already have Mario Kart. I have both the Zelda games,
Mm-hmm.
so that there is 60 gigs right there, or 65 gigs, something like that. Um, sorry, 68 gigs. That's 68 gigs. 68 gigs of the 256. So I have a little under like a little over 180 gigs left. So then I do Deltarune and Kirby and Mario Party and Donkey Kong and fucking oh my god, it's just I could fit so much on the system. It's actually nuts. So I'm just gonna pull up a calculator because there's no reason not to.
Okay.
All right, so I actually put in more gigs than I needed for like for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games would fit on the system and would bring me to 136 gigs.
Oh,
That's
that's
crazy.
really great. Yeah.
That's crazy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic. We'll
right?
see how long this holds up. It's either gonna get better or worse from here.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say.
But
I
I
mean, I
picked
think
the games
Nintendo will
that
probably
like
should.
I actually would probably buy before the end of the year, and yeah, I would have
Yeah.
enough space for like all of them. Which that was those games were Kirby, Mario Party, Donkey Kong, Rune Factory, Fast Fusion, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Kart, the Nintendo Switch Tour thing,
Oh yeah,
Deltarune,
yeah.
all of that fits on it, and I still have over 100 gigs
100
left
gig.
after of it. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Or you can just get like Call of Duty for the PlayStation and fill up your whole hard drive.
That's true. That's true.
hmm Yeah, no, I think these sizes are very reasonable, and Nintendo generally is very good about making sure that their games are reasonably sized. It'll be interesting to see what third parties will try and get away with.
Hmm.
But even the two, I mean, I don't know about Street Fighter, but I think Cyberpunk's very reasonably packaged considering.
It's 56 gigs, I
Yeah.
think.
hmm
Almost 60, which is still really good.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying, and I think that's very reasonably sized for how big. Um, because we looked up the size before, and I feel like it was, yeah, pretty big. It says 70 gigabytes recommended for PC, so
Mm.
they even compressed it a bit more than that. And it says the base game was 70 gigs
Oh
for
yeah, it's
PS4,
60,
PS5.
and that includes all the content. And
Yeah, so yeah, very reasonably.
hmm
Mhm. Yeah, well, that's great. Only 2 more weeks, and we got it.
yep, that's
hmm
fucking crazy to think.
I know. I was thinking,
I'm
I
s-
was like, how many systems we've covered since we've been doing the podcast? Quite a bit. So, no, at least our third Nintendo system. Well, third
uh,
home console.
we do
So,
Wii U and Switch, and now we're
Wii
gonna
U,
do Switch
Switch,
too.
Switch 2. Yeah. 3DS was in there at some point.
It's true. That's nuts, man.
Mm-hmm. I know, time flies.
Hmm.
Anyways, anything else Switch 2 wise you want to talk about?
No, I'm just excited for the system to come out.
I know.
Has
Me too.
yours shipped yet? I don't think it's shipping till next week, right?
No, I haven't even gotten like a shipping update yet. I
Hmm.
think I just checked the other day, but
So I
no.
have the money in my account for them because like it didn't. They took out the money and then they put it back.
Yeah, a lot of
Uh,
times they do that.
so I've just been trying to make sure I have everything correct. You know,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
want to
mine
fuck
all
it up.
says pre-ordered, arrives between the 6th and the 11th. So, I
Wait,
don't know.
where'd you buy yours at? I forgot.
Target.
Uh, okay. Mine currently on Best Buy says we will ship by June 5th. and then on Walmart it says June 5th also, and then for the Mario Kart game it says June 6th for some reason.
Yep, guess you're not playing a game that day. Sorry,
Hey,
sucker. That
that
would
ain't my
suck.
system. That ain't my system. I don't give a fuck.
That would suck.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I mean, I really hope it is here on the release day, but if it comes the
Same.
next day, I won't be terribly upset. But if it does not come this that weekend, I'll be like so irritated. So,
Understandable.
yeah. Because I mean, I'll be working all that day that it comes out, but
Mm-hmm.
the at least I'd
I'm
like to play
planning
it
to
when I get home.
stream mine like all day.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Otherwise, you won't get the game. Like you have all these weird, annoying things.
Luckily, one of mine is digital, so it doesn't matter. The other one's physical, so whatever. That's not mine.
Yeah.
That's my brother's.
Yeah, so as long as you're at the system, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yours is like same day with the Walmart, I think, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's great.
But my Best Buy is also the same day, so
No,
we'll see what happens.
Target did not really give me an option; it just gave me a vague. It will be
Yeah,
here sometime within a week.
that's fucking Target for you.
Yeah, but probably a lot of it's them waiting to find out when they're getting their systems and when they can ship them. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we'll see. Because if they run into the same issues as the like the media outlets, then yeah, I'm not getting it that week for sure.
True.
Anyways, ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
All right. So, where's my
Uh,
Randy Pitchford story?
we're gonna do the Randy Pitchford one first, and then we can
Yeah,
go into.
I'll keep talking. Yeah. So, uh, Randy Pitchford says, and this is in the context is this is in regards to $80 for Borderlands 4. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Which I mean, fair, I guess, but that's kind of just cocky. So, kind of like
Very
what we were
shitty.
talking about last week when was it last week or 2 weeks ago when you were like, well, what was your line for an $80 game? And I basically was like, I'm like, if it's something I want, I'll pay for it. Like that was just
Yep.
kind of that's my line. And I mean, Randy Pitchford seems to understand that, but also just doesn't seem to care. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So here's the deal. We were talking about this also off podcast. You said, "Does Borderlands have any real fans left?" And my response was, the ones that I know that have been like ride or die for Borderlands are looking at this one like, yeah, I guess whatever. Maybe I'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
So like, I don't even know if Borderlands does have its real fans anymore, because it seems like not that many people care, to be completely honest. And I think with that kind of statement from Randy, they're probably going to care less.
Yeah, probably.
I have played day one every single Borderlands game with a group. That group this year is just like, we'll play it eventually, I guess. Except for like one of them that's like, I'm getting a copy for myself and I'm getting a copy for my fiance and yada yada. And all of us are like, yeah, we don't really care. They've released 3 stinkers the last 3 releases. I'm good. And we were actually having a conversation the other day with people that used to be like huge Borderlands fans. We essentially said we think that Borderlands 2 was a fluke and that there's no way they could recreate something as good as that again, and they just don't have the talent to do it. And that's from people that had played all of them. They essentially have now come to the conclusion that like Borderlands 2 is the only good one, and it will probably only ever be the only good one because they've gone into a state now where they just can't make good games.
Yeah, I feel like that's true. They're kind of like Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. Oh, I think I used the same analogy recently.
Yeah,
I just
probably.
said that. And you were just like, but the Assassin's Creed, there's so many more, and there's so many more good ones.
Yep.
And true. Yeah, but yeah, Borderlands, you have like one good game out of like 6. So I don't know. I mean, I'd say we'll hope for the best, see what happens, but yeah, we won't know for a little bit. But I would be shocked if this game makes any like legitimate waves.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I don't see it happening. And like, I also am just not interested in it that much. So,
Yeah, it's been done to death at this point.
yeah, and like, you're not going to get someone as interesting as Handsome Jack again. They just can't do it. They've tried and it just fails every time.
Oh.
So I don't think it's happening.
Better luck next year, Randy Pitchford.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever Borderlands is coming out next year. No, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's still far away, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a game that really has any buzz. So
yeah, no, I feel the same way.
Speaking of a game that doesn't have any buzz, or the wrong kind of buzz, I suppose.
It does have buzz right now.
Yeah, just not the right kind.
Oh yeah. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a big one. Marathon.
A marathon, a big one.
Marathon of terrible decisions, I think is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah. So Marathon, over the last week has been under some huge hot water for stealing art from another artist and putting it into their game. And it's a lot, and they're trying to downplay it, but it's a lot. They stole a lot, like a lot. Like,
yeah.
And now a lot of people are saying the entirety of Marathon is essentially stolen artwork. And although I feel like they're not entirely wrong, I think there's a better way to describe it, which I've now started describing it, which is that Marathon's entire identity is essentially stolen. And it's and a lot of the art that comes with Marathon is part of its stolen identity. So there is this artist known as Anti-Real who makes this really cool like Y2K aesthetic art that they've been doing since 2017. They are followed by multiple of the artists on the Bungie team that are working on Marathon, and they just so happen to have had a lot of their artwork stolen, and it shows up in Marathon. Oopsies.
Yeah.
Bungie blames the art theft on a former employee. I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that for a second. I'm fairly sure it's people that are still there working under them right now. Bungie has come forward and say that the art is stolen, and they recognize that art was stolen and repurposed for their game, and that it's not okay, and they will be taking the appropriate steps to take care of this problem. And essentially it's really bad. It's really bad for these people, like really bad. The game already was kind of a failure in its alpha. Very few people that got in, and the people that did get in didn't enjoy their time with the game. And then another game named Arc Raiders, which is also an extraction shooter, had a alpha around the same time as Marathon and swiped all of Marathon's alpha players. So if an alpha can take all of your alpha players that are supposed to be testing your game, that's really already not a good sign.
No, it's not.
And then it's an even worse sign when people find out that you've plagiarized and stolen artwork from another small-time artist. And this is not the first or the second or the third or the fourth, but the fifth time this has happened to Bungie. And there's a pattern.
I was just saying, I feel like this is a trend then.
This is the fifth time, documented fifth time that this has happened. But the amount of stolen artwork from this artist named Anti-Real is off the charts. There is so much that is actually kind of insane.
Well, at least they didn't come out and try to blame AI. I feel like that would have been an easy scapegoat.
Yep, it's true. But I don't think it's really possible to blame AI when you have things such as a picture that had the artist's signature on it, and all they did was change the colors and erase the artist's signature. But if you zoom into their texture, you could still read the artist's signature that they tried to erase, that they stole from.
See, that's fucked up.
That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up. Like, it ain't even subtly hidden. I've actually got a picture because I would like to share it with you because it's fucking wild what they did. So let me get that picture real quick.
Kind of like the Okami box art that had the IGN water.
Oh, it's way worse. You can literally see it no problem whatsoever. So let me see if I need to find the two side by side because it makes it easier to show. Let's see. Yeah, okay, here we go. So I'll send this to you, and you can see it now. It's in general chat right now. Green, Bungie. Yellow, the artist they stole from.
It's very obvious.
You can literally still see the artist's signature in the Bungie theft one that they did. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It's really bad, and we've been getting reports since this happened that essentially morale at Bungie Studios is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. They've been talking since this game was in its planning phase to higher ups and saying we don't think the current setup for this game will work.
Mhm.
And everyone has just been shot down and told we don't care, just make it.
Yeah.
And they've been ignored with their criticism. The fans are being ignored with their criticism. And now we find out that they also plagiarized and just straight up ripped artist artwork, just stole it. Like no, like 1-to-1 pretty much. It's pretty much 1-to-1. The theft here is. It's not like, oh, maybe they didn't. No, it's, you cannot say maybe. This is 100% obvious. And they knew it was obvious because they literally the next day came out and they were like, yep, we stole it. It was a former employee that did it, and we are taking the appropriate measures to make sure it doesn't happen again. Which is just bullshit. It's very obvious. Like I said, it's one of them. They don't want any of the people currently working there to take the blame, but I don't foresee Bungie bouncing back from this. I think by the end of the year, Bungie will be shuttered or rolled up into Sony in some way. But will not have their own.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not
they'll
happening.
lose any
They're gone.
autonomy they have
Yeah.
left. Yeah. Yeah, their management will become Sony, and if they're lucky, that's what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
If not, they'll
Because
just be
with the
completely
large
shuttered.
amount of lawsuits and stuff that they're dealing with right now, Sony might just find it better to just cut their losses and get rid of them, which might end up happening.
Yeah.
In other news, about an hour ago, Bungie said they plan to have Marathon released by the end of this year and be a top 5 2025 game.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Not happening. That's just not happening. It's not happening. Give it up, Bungie. Pack it up. You're done.
Was it this game that I saw like this crazy rumor that for this game to even break even it needs to be like the top 5 selling games of the year?
Probably. But also, we don't even have a price point for this game yet.
Oh, fun.
No one knows what the price is going to be for this game. So,
Could be anything.
could be anything. Could get canceled. Probably going to get canceled. Probably needs to get canceled.
Yeah, could also happen too. Yeah, there's two headlines. Marathon might get delayed. Morale at Bungie and Free Fall.
Mm-hmm.
Where was another one I just saw? I just saw another one. I literally just skimmed over it. Oh, here it is. I heard Marathon needs to be in the top 5 NPD sales of the year to be considered a success. Ex-Bungie dev says Marathon leadership was extremely toxic and humiliating to work with. Bungie leadership needs to be gutted completely. These are the stories that are coming out. Yeah.
It's nuts. I don't see this ending well for Bungie at all.
They will not. There's no way that this will end well. The best that they could hope for at this point is everyone magically forgets about this and the game sells decent. I don't think this game will break any records at this point. They've done nothing to benefit this game in the long run. So, yeah, it's literally at this point it's just being sent out to die if it even makes it that far.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make it out to the public, to be honest.
Not at the rate it's going.
Mm-mm.
So it sucks because that's obviously not something you want anyone in the industry to have. But again, this is just, I mean, a lot of it really has to do with just kind of some of the baffling decisions Sony's been making lately.
Yep.
And why nobody's like saying like, hey, this is a bad idea.
Yep.
Honestly, I feel like even at this point, like, hey, you've seen enough. Like, are you going to be able to turn it around? If not, scrap it. Like,
yep.
Cut your losses. Why are you still working on it if it's not going anywhere? I don't know.
I agree. I think it should be dropped. Like it's got to go away. Just get it out of here at this point.
Yeah, or retool it into something else, or do something else. I don't know. Sometimes, like, I don't know. Every once in a while, I just see some decisions that are just like utterly baffling, and some. This is kind of one of them. So, kind of just kind of reminded me of that what was I know I talked about it before because there was a Did You Know Gaming about it, but um that Crash Bandicoot like multiplayer game that just looking at the development of it, like you're like, why was this ever greenlit? Like there's
Yep.
so many people that are like, this is a horrible idea. But they just kept pitching it and pitching it and pitching it until finally they're like, fine, just do it. Like, that's not a good way to make a game. Like, make something that's interesting that people like. Like, I don't know. If people keep saying no to you, there's probably a reason why.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it might be fun to make, it might be relevant, but is it going to sell? If the answer is no, then don't do it. So, um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, this is especially too with now the like artwork issues that they have with theft. Then yeah, that's probably should be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it
So,
should go away.
mhm.
It's over.
Yeah, because all they're going to do at this point, honestly, is they're just going to just try and mimic that probable same art style
Hmm.
on their own, like to make something that fits. I don't know, just poor decisions. Um, I do have one last rumor I
Yeah,
saw.
go for it.
Um, the and this is a very loose rumor. I'm just going to comment on it because I think that there's some room here. So apparently, Nintendo filed a new trademark for Hotel Dusk in Japan.
Mm.
Um, so the reason this is interesting, so every time these trademark renewals come up, but for listeners, most
Hmm.
of the time people get excited for no reason. Trademarks have to be renewed every few years. Doesn't necessarily mean a new game's coming. It just means that Nintendo's just defending their trademarks or whoever's renewing their trademarks. So this story on paper should not move any needles in any direction. But the thing that's interesting about this, I think at least, is that there's two reasons. One, um, they registered the international name for Hotel Dusk in Japan, which apparently they had not done before. So that's one thing. They had used a different name in Japan when the game came out. So that just kind of says like, okay, well, why would you register the international name unless you're planning on using it in Japan? So
Mm.
maybe there is some smoke with that fire. The other reason is that if you remember when I finished uh, another code recollection, whatever the fuck,
Hmm.
whichever pronunciation they decided to use for that second word, I don't know. But in the credits, there was, I remember you talking about it, just a nod to Hotel Dusk in there, which made me kind of be like, oh, maybe they're going to do something with this. So the fact that I said that after I finished the game last year, and now there's this trademark renewal this year, kind of actually makes me think like, hey, maybe they actually are doing something with it. And it does fall in line with Nintendo's recent kind of movement to get all of their past catalog available on current systems. So I do think it's possible, and I do think that's something that may end up actually happening. Um, so yeah, I actually legitimately excited if this is going to happen, and honestly, I think that it probably will. The question is when. Nintendo's probably no rush to get this out. It's definitely not a this year game, and I could
Mm.
definitely see it being something that's like they'll drop it for the Switch because this is obviously is a game that could really run well on the Switch, um, and then it could obviously be played on the Switch too. I
Yep.
think that's probably something that they would do because they still have a bunch of stuff coming out on the Switch, and it makes sense to just kind of, hey, cheap game, easy to put out, like make free money, basically. So, yeah, so that's what I think. But other than that, that's all I got. I don't have anything else exciting.
Yeah, I got nothing. Honestly, I'm done.
You done? You ready to wrap up?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to listen to any of our old episodes, they are also all available on game-crunch.com. If you want to send us an email, you can reach us at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hi.
any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well then. That said, my name is Mike Anastasia. Find me online on Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
Game on, Mike and Brandon on the screen. Diving deep in the pixel stream. Every level, every quest. Shine. Game on, got that power up, feeling blessed. Controllers up, hear the join the thrill, it's a world premiere. Game on, in the realm of heroes, we conquer the fear.
I loved Randy Pitchford's quote today. That was great.
Oh my god, this is so funny. They got that kind of falls in line with the marathon thing.
Oh, his like hubris.
Yeah, because here's the thing. He moved the date of his game up,
Yeah.
and he says it was because they're in a good position for the game and everything, but the date that it was launching on initially was the same day as Marathon. So now that he doesn't have to deal with Marathon at all, he's just kind of full of himself again.
Oh, well, he is a magician. He just instead of fooling the audience, he's just fooling himself.
I guess so.